Alright, so what I'm doing here today is taking a look at running the high-sec combat sites to try to get the escalations in hopes of getting some pretty decent modules, which so far has been paying off really well, surprisingly. Even though there is a, excuse me, there is a steep bit of competition. There are a lot of people that run these sites, and there's a lot of people that run them very, very quickly. So I had to come up with something that was able to compete and able to outpace some of these other people out here and some of these other ships. So there's quite a few I've seen that are Omega players that run around, just really expensive ships that are just trying to just DPS race these sites and just wipe them out. So you have to have something that competes with that. And this fit right here is something that does exactly that. So what I have going on here is it's kind of pricey. 800 mil is not cheap. 830 mil, 40 mil is not cheap. And this is something that I take around in high sec and low sec and just kind of run around doing mostly escalations with it. Um, it covers everything from a hideaway all the way up to most of the fives, the 5 out of 10s that you can get for escalations. It'll cover the majority of those. I haven't tested all of them personally, but it has done just fine. As long as you can pilot efficiently in a 5, you'll be able to make it in this fit. 100%. You're gonna have to run both your shield boosters and stuff. We'll get into the fit here in just a second, but I mean you have 8.5 minutes on your cap, and as long as you're pulsing stuff on and off, you're not just leaving everything running all the time. You're gonna have a lot longer than 8.5 minutes. But this will cover pretty much everything from, like I said, a hideaway, refuge den, burrow, all the hidden forlorn sites, all that stuff. It'll cover everything up to, from in my testing, I haven't had a 6 out of 10 escalation or anything. I haven't been able to get one yet. A lot of competition for these sites, and you gotta dip into low sec, you gotta worry about pirates and things, so there's a lot that goes into the low sec side of it. And I just don't dabble in null sec at all, so I can't speak on that. But I have had a lot of success so far in high sec and a little bit of low sec that I've done and a couple areas of space I've been in. So I would first off suggest, if you're gonna run this and run it in all areas of space, you want to fit more for what I what I would consider an omni resist. So all your resists are gonna be pretty similar. Pretty close to what they should be. This is just a he gets explosive resist. It's an angel ship. It's just how it is. That's going to be higher. Just like Caldari gets the kinetic and so on and so forth. But what I've been doing here is I have taken an old fit from an old ship that is very well known and sort of capitalized on it and made it kind of my own fit now for my own purposes. And even though I'm always stating, hey, fit for your area of space and what you're going to want to do, your resistances and things, you're going to want to be where you're at, in my opinion, for what I'm doing, keeping these rigs set up the same, two capacitor control units and the EM shield reinforcer one, keeping all this about the same as what the old fit was from the Povertila is, it just works. I can't say it any other way. It just works. It's just been working. Put in the work. So I still got the rapid lights. Still got the NOS in there. I've used this a couple times, battle cruisers and battleships, just to. I mean, you're by no means do you need to be like leeching anything or anything like that. Your cap stable in most cases. So if you do find yourself in a bind, this is more for higher class, like fours and fives. Whenever this was doing abyssals back in when this bit was really super popular. It still is. It's still like a 500 mil fit, 400 mil fit. It's half the price I have it at. This is just the bling that I put on here to ensure that I was not going to have any problems unless I just got jumped on by somebody, and at that point, I'm kind of limited on what I can do anyway. So most people see a Gila and they already know what it's doing, so they fit accordingly. They bring friends that are also fitted accordingly because people, again, they know what these ships are doing. They know what they're capable of. So they're no secret. So in this case, I'm running a Republic Fleet large cap battery. Got the multi-spec 2. Got a 10 MN afterburner. Got a Gist B shield amp, and then two Pith C medium boosters. Not too bad. Like I said, 8.5 minutes on the cap. And if you're not running everything, turn off one booster, cap stable, over, got 68% cap stable. So you can get neuted, by a couple of them and still be okay. You can put your own NOS on them, and in a actual combat situation, you're probably going to be okay for the most part as long as it's not anything that's super crazy that jumps on you if you take this into low sec or somewhere that's not so friendly. Um, you're probably going to have a better chance of somebody unless they're just in some kind of pirating, ganking ship or something that they're either just going to kite you or just outright punch you in the face and knock you out. Which is going to be kind of hard to do considering all the damage. Like, I mean, you are kind of a glass cannon. You don't have a big tank. It is a cruiser after all, but this thing can punch a pretty significant way above its weight class. So it's something that people also know. So they're going to bring ships to fight accordingly. And if they're out to gank you, they're out to gank you. There's not a whole lot you can do. Let's just be honest here. If somebody sets out with a group of friends, they see you in a Gila, and they're like, alright, let's get them, they're going to get you. Unless you're paying attention and can get out of whatever you're doing quick enough, they're going to get you. So keep that in mind. This is something I'm comfortable flying. I can afford it. I'm comfortable with it. If I lose it, I can replace it. Not a big deal. Not everybody can do that. So if you're not one to do this, keep it on the 400 mil side. Drop these, go back down to what these originally were. I think these are Bs, maybe? Or maybe these were just B boosters, and then this was a Tech 2. Or those were Tech 2s, and this was the just B. I honestly don't remember the original fit anymore. I've had this fit for quite some time. I've been experimenting with and just swapping out this and that. I really don't remember what the original one was. You can find it pretty much anywhere, any Abyssal website. You can find it on the Eve Workbench site. It's been a very popular fit and has been very successful for a lot of people. Made a lot of people a lot of money, including myself. I've made quite a few billions running Abyssals using that fit. So, using this fit, pretty much the exact same fit. Swap that out for a damage control. Um, and then whatever rig you're gonna whatever abyssal you're gonna run, swap out your rig for that, for your resistance. Swap out for a damage control if you need it, and then you can run pretty much whatever abyssal you want to run. Swap out, drones too accordingly, but kind of goes without saying. Either way though, we're not here for abyssals, we're doing combat anomalies, so. But this fit will do it. Guaranteed, 100%, and you don't have to spend 800 mil to do it. You can drop off some of this bling stuff. You don't need all this. This is just to, again, there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of really fast ships out there that kill things in a matter of seconds. So I have to find something as an alpha player to contend with that, if not actually outpace them. And in most cases you will. There's something I found a lot of times is that if you're trying to compete for a site, just leave them. Let them have it. Unless you've already landed on grid and you started to target. It's a cruiser, so you got a couple seconds for your target lock. But unless you've already landed on grid and you started to lock targets down, just let them have it. And there goes you don't have to worry about competing with anybody for a minute. You can go on to another system and actually have a minute to choose what you want to do instead of just racing to the next site. Which, again, Different time zones, you may not have that option. It may just always be busy when you're playing. You might just have a couple hours at the peak time to play, and that's just your time. So it's just what you have to do. I would suggest finding, maybe trying to put your character in an area of space that is not so populated around your time, like around your time zone or the time you play. Because not every part of Eve is always super active. Everybody plays on a time zone, right? So there's going to be places in Eve that you might see two or three people, or you might see 200 or 300 people. Just depends on where you're at and what time zone you're in. That's something to keep in mind too, is that you can use that to your advantage as well. So, but this fit will take some time to pay for itself unless you just have decent RNG and the loot fairy says yes. So keep that in mind too, is that it's running these sites in high sec is not something you're gonna do to make a lot of money doing. It's not something that's gonna, it shouldn't, let me rephrase this. It should not be something you set out to do to be like your main source of income. This is not what I would be doing. This is something that if you're wanting to kind of take a break from your normal play cycle, or maybe you just want to do something different for a little while, 100% I would do that. Run these sites, try to get some cool drops, you know, maybe worth a couple 100 million. Run around, check out some different areas of space. You know, you never know, the surface, the terrain of Eve changes so rapidly that you might go there 1 week and then you come back 2 weeks later and some of the structures are gone and it might be a new corp living there. It just changes so rapidly. So to get out from your area of space sometimes and just sort of take a little stroll. See what's out there to see. Go check out some different systems. If you don't want to go to low sec, go on a bunch of like 0.5s, you know, just kind of troll around and just see what's out there. See whose corps are out there. You never know. You might run into somebody and be like, "Oh, hey, you guys are cool, yeah." You know, make some new friends along the way. That's, you know, might make some new enemies along the way. People might not want you trolling around at those 0.5s because there's a lot of moon mining and things going on. People coming up out of nullsec and stuff to mine moons and things. So there's a lot that goes into the exploration part of combat anomalies, but you know, you can sort of experience that on your own. I'm not going to talk too much about that, but it's also wise to keep in mind who you're going to encounter while you go to these new systems that you don't know anything about, and who are the homebodies there, who has eyes there, and like who's invested in that system. So something to keep in mind. But as far as fits go, this is something just kind of wanted to showcase. You know, this is something that will make you super competitive. It will outpace the majority of ships that are out there, and it will make you a lot of money, honestly. The ship is done. The ship has done quite a bit. I've been very surprised at some of the sites this has ran, some of the things this has pulled off. I've ran everything from hideaways all the way up to 5 out of 10s. Um, Now you might need like a blue pill and a hard shell booster to run a 5 out of 10, depending on what your skills are and if you're alpha or mega or whatever this is. But this is an alpha character. These are like alpha skills and stuff, so I'm nothing crazy here. You don't see any boosters up there. I do have implants. I have the plus threes, like not a full set of plus threes, but just like some minor things I'll show you in a minute. But you don't need them. Let's see, we're just gonna kind of troll around a little bit for a second. Now you can use the neocom here. Go into exploration, combat anomalies, and it'll tell you. You can see these are getting pretty thin around here. There's a lot of people playing now, so we'll just kind of maybe try to get one of these and just kind of showcase what it does, how quick it is, and stuff. here's a hideaway, and I would normally skip over these. Like, if there's anybody else here, and I know I have my local minimized, but depending on how many people are in the system, you might want to like just skip these over. There's only 5 or 6 mobs that spawn here, and if anybody else is here, or anybody else lands on grid with you, it's just not worth it, you know? I mean, people are like, oh, you only have to kill 4 things and you get the escalation. Well, that might be true. You know, where you land also affects what you got going on. So, like, if you don't have decent skills here, if you don't have decent missiles or anything, you're outranged or whatever, you gotta burn in. I mean, I'm not worried about it. We're shooting at, 20k, but send your drones, send your missiles, whatever it is you want to do. Here, the drones are gonna take them out. There you go. And drones will probably take them out. So in most cases, this is how it's gonna go. The drones are gonna get whatever it is you're going after first. Like most times, there's a weird, um, I don't know. I know they have like an activation delay, but like there's this weird sort of time in between server ticks where they don't really know what to do, so they just kind of attack something, or they just sit there. It's weird. There you go. There's a hideaway there. A couple seconds there. So we'll go ahead and dip out of here. We didn't get a rare spawn in there. Nothing in there. The loot's probably just like metal scraps and just a couple junk things. Not gonna worry about it. Might as well just go ahead and reload because you don't want to get caught in the middle of the site. You can help it. Trying to reload. This is that 30 seconds is, if you can save it, do it. You don't want to mistime that. It can be brutal sometimes. So we're gonna see here if we can get maybe catch a site here. I don't know. Not sure why that hurricane made a lag like that. It's kind of weird. Alright, nothing here. So this is one of the things that comes into play when you try to farm these sites, that if you really want to cut down on your travel time, you don't want to just jump around like random systems. This is definitely what you should be doing. See, that's where we're headed here in just a second. And then this will update once we jump into that system. So yeah, that Caracal might be competition right there. But being this is a newer player system, um, maybe? So you got burrows. Yeah, so the burrows I skip just because of how spread out they are. And since this is like a new player kind of starting system, we're just gonna kind of skip over this and move on. Let's head here. But this is pretty much how you should be trying to find these. Just to save yourself time, unless you just want to jump around. There are times where I will go into the map and I'll just make a route. Like I'll just pick an area of space, like for instance, right here. I'll just pick this area and just make a route. And it might be 50 jumps. Obviously, I'm not gonna try to do all those jumps at one time. That's gonna be over the course of maybe a day or two. But I will make a route sometimes instead of just using that neocom. So here we have another hideaway. But this was also the place that had 3 sites in it a few minutes ago, and now there's only one, so there's obviously somebody here clearing them out. Which means if when we get to this site it may not be here anymore, or there's probably going to already be somebody here. So we're going to get ready to go right back to where we just came from in order to move on further down the line. See, I have my D-scan minimized like a noob. So something you don't ever really want to do. You always want to keep an E-scan up, whether you're in high sec or not. It's just good practice. And if you don't, excuse me, if you don't know too much, there's another hideaway, but if you don't know too much about the drones, as far as putting them into folders and hotkeys and stuff, the basics of it is you select your drones, you put them in their folder accordingly, and then you set that folder to your favorite. So like you right click and then set as favorite for launching. So at that point now you don't have to do the drag and drop on the drones. So now you can just take them, put them in their respective folder, and hit Shift F, and it just launches however many drones for whatever, how much bandwidth you can have. It launches however many drones you can have. And then of course Shift R is just a recall. Like right now there's Shift R, and I'll go ahead and align to the next one. Drones are in their bay, we're getting aligned, and we're going to warp to 0. And that one kind of took a second, because I was just kind of chit-chatty right there about drones, but again, hotkeys are helpful. You don't have to keep clicking on every single thing. You know, you might misclick and overheat something, or you click it at the wrong time or something. Any number of things can happen. So hotkeys can be very nice. Very nice. We got one guy here. Forgot the Shift F, as in Frank. Get the drones out. Send them over there, just so they're over there. And then they're probably going to start killing things before you can actually target them. And that's why I send drones in first, is like there, you know, I didn't really need to do that. There was no reason to. Drones already had them. So a lot of times it can be helpful to put them on the first mob and then just leave them over there in space. There we go, we didn't get any kind of rare spawn or anything, so we're gonna head on down the line. Reload. And this is the unfortunate side. Like I said, you run 2, 3, 4, you know, however many of them. Normally, I think mine have averaged out to about 4, between 4 and 6 sites per escalation. I've had them back to back in a couple of cases, and then I've had them go as far as like 8 or 10 sites and not had anything. So it just kind of depends. See, if I had to guess, I think that Tengu might be running them. I don't know. It's hard to say. I've seen a couple of Tengus. There's been a couple that decided to land. Like we landed on grid together at a site, and then they decided, all right, well, it's a DPS race. And while a Tengu is really spicy, it can be really spicy. Those heavy launchers are, there it goes. Those heavy launchers aren't exactly the best when it comes to things like this, because the application, unless you're running like a tracking script in some cases, the application isn't going to be that great. Which is why I kind of sort of tell people not to run like Drakes and stuff, is because the tracking on them is so bad. Like I've seen, there was a Drake Navy that landed on me at a site, and we both kind of landed at the same time. I was getting things targeted as he warped in, and he felt like he could out DPS me. I figured, okay, well, I'm already here, I'm already targeted, and we'll just let the drones go and, you know, put the drones on one and I'll send the missiles on another. And he was getting, you know, rather upset because as he was trying to target things, they were already getting killed. And there wasn't anything he could do about it, you know, because his targeting takes a minute in a was it a battle cruiser? Cruiser, battle cruiser, I'm not sure which one it falls under. But he was getting upset because he could not keep up with the targeting. There was nothing he could do. So that's something to keep in mind when you have all the competition of high sec in general, is that other people are going to be right behind you if they're not already there. If you're lucky enough to be the first one there, they're going to be right behind you. So you need to do your best to sort of claim that site, unless somebody's just being extremely rude and just doesn't have any respect for the game or other people, they're just gonna burn off anyway. You know, they see the site, they're not gonna worry about it. Clearly, they're not gonna get anything from it. They're gonna leave. Then you have some people that think that magically they're just gonna just take the site for themselves. So I've encountered both during this little experiment. Uh, but even on like running refuges, this thing is just it just burns through stuff. See, this wave right here is the wave in particular where you would want the little bit of web to slow these other destroyers down. In some cases where, you know, like the little Atron frigate or like these destroyers right here, you would want that little bit of web to just kind of slow them down a little bit. Make it a little easier for you. See, we got another refuge here, so we're gonna align to that. We pulled the drones. As soon as the drones are in, we're gonna warp. We didn't get a rare spawn there. I don't worry about the boxes. The cargo container is usually like 100 rounds of ammo that I'm not gonna ever use or carry about. So we didn't get any kind of like Shadow Serpentis, Dread Garista spawn or anything there. So we'll try to go snatch this refuge maybe before anybody else. Oh, there we go. Narcotics warehouse. In Tantalus. That's not good. So that's not something you really want to see. Um, Low sec. Doing these in low sec can be pretty rough. So what I'm going to do here is set the desto, and I'm going to look on the map. And what I'm going to look at here is to see in Tantalus how many pilots are there. We have 11 people that are in a station. How many ships are destroyed in the last hour? 1. And how many pilots in space? 5. Okay. So that system is way too spicy right now. We're just gonna skip that. I'm gonna go do this other hideaway. I'm going to clear that desto. Stop tracking that. So you have 24 hours to do one of these escalations. Now what I'm going to do here is wait for a little while and see if the population kind of dwindles a little bit there, because I had one there the other day and it was pretty quiet. And I'm just gonna see if maybe that's like a group of dudes in there, maybe they're helping their buddy out or something. Um, Either way, 10 people in that system is too much for me to go in there and mess with trying to do an escalation. That is a surefire way to get smoked. Alright, we'll go pull this side away as long as there's nobody there. So my general purpose rule is sort of like if I pull up on a site and there's somebody here, I'm not staying. I don't care if they just landed, I don't care if we're landing at the same time, I'm not staying. Now if I'm like here and somebody lands on grid with me, yeah, we can compete for it. I'm probably gonna take it. Just be honest. But there's so much competition. There's so many of these sites out here. Like if somebody were to land on you at the same time, like you guys land together or something, there's no point in trying to assert your dominance with somebody. Uh, it's really no point. You're not gonna get really anything from the site but the escalation. You might get a rare spawn, and in which case he might drop like 20 mil. But usually it just doesn't happen. Those spawns are so rare, like I think out of the couple hundred, again, this is just my RNG, but I think out of the couple hundred sites that I've ran now, I think I might have seen maybe a dozen. See, okay, so there's a Shadow Serpentis right there. So that guy should drop something faction. And sometimes I have seen a couple, they have kind of like put the juke on me where they just didn't drop anything. So even though it was the rare spawn, it still didn't drop anything. So turn my AB off. I'm gonna go ahead and reload. I got my drones in. Pulling up on the loot right here, and let's see what we got. 400,000. What do we get out of that? So we got 1,000 rounds of tungsten charge S, a micro, vortex compact magnetic field stabilizer, a copper tag. So as I was saying, the loot from those is it's really not worth it. So we're gonna go in here, check it out, run a couple more of these maybe and see, just to kind of, you know, just to show people. Let's see, what do we, oh wait, oh that's a burrow. We're not gonna run burrows. Burrows are rough. That's something if you want to kind of maximize your time and you want to take advantage of kind of the sites and their mechanics, that's one way to do it, is just avoid burrows. They're so spread out, you're going to spend 5 minutes just going across grid, killing 2 or 3 things, fly over here, one-shot something, fly back over here, 20k to one-shot something else. It's just simply not worth it, in my opinion. There's a lot of people that run them. It's still a site. I mean, still something to run, but a lot of people do skip them. It's just not. They're so spread out. Where you see is like a lot of these, you just land, warp to zero and land, and you eat like in the case of the hideaways, it spawns you, 15k out. Just turn your prop mod on, pulse it one time, and then just slow boat up to it. As you're targeting, as you're damaging, like I'm doing. You see, like these sites go down pretty quick. For anybody to be like serious competition, they'd have to be right there with you. You're gonna cook through them pretty fast. Yeah. No, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna head back towards where I kind of came from, because that's sort of where I left off from my last little journey, and I just kind of like stopped there for the time being. But I think I'm gonna head back to sort of where I came from in that general area, and kind of make another route and move on from Galente space, because this seems like it's really, I don't know, it seems kind of hit and miss. Like the systems here seem super overpopulated in some of them. Like you'll jump from one where it's 30 people, and then you'll jump into another system next door and there's 5 or 2, or in this case 3, where we just came from like a system with 9. I'm not sure if that's how all these areas are over here, or if it's just sort of like right on the edge. A lot of this over here is low sec and stuff, so I don't know. Don't really know. But I'm still gonna kind of float around here for a minute to sort of see what I see. But I wanted to make this to sort of showcase what an alpha can do, kind of running sites in high sec. If this is what you want to do and you want to run combat anomalies, this is one of the fits that I use for it. And you see it runs them rather efficiently. I think our 6th, is that like our 5th or 6th site in? Because I've run a couple off camera now, but like that was like the 6th site right there. 5th or 6th, that was an escalation. Now, a lot of these will take you in a low sec, and it might not be worth it. Yeah, it might just not be worth it. And if that's the case, just write it off, move on. It sucks, you put in that time. Tried to get the escalation, you tried to do this, you tried to do that, but... And yeah, it sucks. But... do you really want to go into low sec and risk losing almost $1 billion? I mean, or you just want to move on, Like, it depends on the situation. It depends on the system, what part of space you're in. That's why you gotta research. So I said I'm gonna look up that map and see, because I was just there the other day, and it was dead, totally dead. I was in there for almost an hour, completely alone. Which, if anybody knows much about low sec areas, that's almost unheard of. There's people camping these places all the time. Usually people leaving all just camped out in there. It's just, I don't know. It's a stupid thing. People just, whatever reason. Um, a lot of people like to call them pirates. I just call them gankers. That's all they are. They're just there to, they're not gonna come up and 1v1 you like they should. No, they're gonna wait and call their friends. They're gonna see what you're flying in. I've only had 2 instances in LowSec where I had people actually legitimately want a 1v1, and I thought it was awesome. I had a actual, like, I thought that was awesome. I had a blast. It was great, great stuff. But the people that sit there and they wait and wait and wait, they just leave a character parked there the whole time they're playing on another character. I don't know. If that's how you play, that's how you play. Eve is one of those weird games where it takes all kinds. But I personally I don't get it. I don't get it. I'll just say it, man. Yeah, I don't understand having a character parked somewhere just to gank somebody trying to do something in the game is just, I don't know. I guess that's just part of one of those weird parts of Eve I'll never quite understand. But this is what I've been up to experimenting with an alpha with some pretty decent skill points. Like I said, he was Omega for quite some time. I let him train up for quite a while. Then I just kind of got burnt out on Omega and trying to keep up with Omega 6 accounts and trying to find a way to pay for it in game and just doing all of the things. Just too much. It's just way too much. So I've been experimenting with the same said 6 accounts as Alpha. And this is one of the things that I've been doing to see what the ISK generation is, and so far in 2 days I've generated over 1 billion, but you see the time here too. You know, the time investment needs to be looked at um, as something that, how much is your time worth? If you're gonna sit here and play a game, then okay, you know, fair enough. But if you're looking to do this in a profitable way and you're trying to do something that actually you're not spending 3 years just jumping around all of space competing for sites, this isn't that thing. You know, it's something that you do for fun. It's something you do just as kind of like a thing. But to do this, and again, this is after 2 days of doing it, pretty much all of my playtime. This is all I've been doing is farming these sites, and it's just not a it's not a good feasible way to continuously play this game. It's just not. The money you make from this is not that great. I mean, you have the potential, don't get me wrong. Like, I've gotten a couple mod drops now where it's been, 250 mil, 300 mil. Got a multi-spec drop for 400 mil. So, I mean, the money you can make is there. The potential is there. And I have made quite a bit of money so far. It's like just over 1 bill in 2 days. So the money's there. But I've also ran probably 250 or better of these sites at this point. And while they only take a couple of minutes a piece, you're still looking at 250 or more sites for this. So I can't sit here and say that this is a good feasible way to play this. And like a way to really maintain in the game. I wouldn't say this is my Kiki. No, my cat says hi. But I wouldn't say that this is a good way to play the game consistently. This isn't how I would keep up with the game. I feel like this is sort of just a fun thing to do. See, I'm over here paying attention to the cat, chit chat, and I didn't even see the refuge there. This is probably going to be sort of a contested area because right next door is a lot of ice mining, and there's a lot of people here that have a lot of investment in these couple systems, so it's probably be a contested thing. Which again is fine. It's totally fine. We'll just pick up and move on. Unless you just want to fight it out. There's always more sites to run. And that's what a lot of people seem to forget. There's always more sites to run. See the drones there just putting in the work. Putting in the work. Drones absolutely make this ship do what it does. you go. Another refuge down. Just like that. And you just cook off to whatever place you want to go. It's that easy. I mean, I know this fit is expensive, but the chances of you being outpaced and outmatched here are slim to none. Someone's gonna have to come in something strong, or they have to do something like in a similar fit. You guys are gonna have to land at the same time or something. But I feel like this is an honest look at what it's like as an alpha pilot, running around in a Gila doing high-sec combat anomalies. This is an honest look at it. So if it's something you want to do, you're considering doing, um, maybe if you have lower skill points, maybe starting a destroyer. You know, the Thrasher is a solid choice. The Catalyst is also a solid choice. If you go Navy issue on either one, go railguns. Um, we're talking like 50k range. While you don't do the greatest damage at 50k, obviously, you're still not going to be touched. So you can kite things around accordingly. You don't have to worry about it. So maybe start there if you're not comfortable flying something 400 million, you know? You don't necessarily have to run the same exact fit. Like I said, you can find this fit on a lot of different sites and a lot of different variations. Um, the most common one I think was like 400 mil, 415 mil, something like that. It's pretty cheap. It's basically half of this. So again, you know, you don't, the tractor unit can go, you don't need the 3 bling mods, you know, you can drop these GISs for something cheaper. Um, there's a lot of things you can do with this fit to make it more user-friendly, so to speak, as far as like new player friendly, to be less expensive. You don't need all this. This covers everything you could possibly run into, all the way up to the 5 out of 10s. So you're going to be able to clear everything in any area of space. Pretty much majority of low sec if you choose to, or if you are in an area that has a lock on a pocket and a low sec, you can take a ship like this in there and just clean house. You know, it's totally doable. It just takes a little while longer because you have people dropping in on you and stuff. You know, if you don't control an area of low sec, you're gonna have kind of a hard time in a ship like this. There are ships out there that are targets, and this is one of them. People see a Gila on scan and immediately know this guy's probably running sights. So you become a target and you want to leave immediately. You know, one person might not do it, but 2, 3, yeah, they're gonna take this thing down. It's a kind of a glass cannon. You know, you only have like 18k health, so you might be pumping out 700 DPS, but you know, if you get 3 tornadoes roll up on you, you're done. They're gonna one-shot you. That's it. It's over. So you have to take that into account too. You're not exactly the strongest ship out there, but you can out DPS and punch above your weight class pretty significantly. So a lot of ships are gonna have trouble keeping up with you. But I wanted to take it out, run it a couple sites, and kind of showcase what it is so people can sort of see this is the fit, this is how it runs. There's no tricks or anything crazy to it. What you see is what you get. And it's something I've been experimenting with and have had a huge amount of success with. I would recommend this fit to anybody. I'll try to put it maybe in the description or something. If anybody wants to use it, you can. You're more than welcome to. So, see how it works out in the future. I'm going to do a little bit more experimenting here, change some things around, maybe move into a different part of space for a while and see what I can do there. So, appreciate you for watching. You know, check it out. give it a like if you liked it. If you want to see some different content, let me know. Leave a comment. Say, hey, can you do something like this? Can you do this ship? Did you have a fit for that or this? Let me know, and we'll get it in the works. So, appreciate you for checking it out. Uh, Hope everything's gonna go well for you today, tonight. Hope you have a good day tomorrow. Wherever you are in the world, hope things are gonna go well for you. And we'll catch you in the next one. See you around.